Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of JKL Media, a pop culture discussion between three friends. And we are in our The Expanse series. We are up to season one, episode two, The Big Empty, which originally aired December 15th, 2015. So almost 10 years ago as we're recording this.
Gary.
And I am excited to join as always with Karen
Hello.
and Lou.
Hello.
And I, of course, am Jesse. We were talking about before we hit record that one of the nice things so far discussing this is there are three storylines that we each can take apart. But before we start breaking it down, I wanted to know quick thoughts, and I'll start with you, Lou. Thoughts two season for the second episode. The first one had to do a lot of heavy lifting. The second one, what do you, quick thoughts on it?
Yeah, feel that this one has a better balance of character beats and world building. It's still doing some world building, but the focus was definitely on the characters this time. We're starting to see the dynamics of what the various characters are going through, and I think that it was a good episode building upon what the first episode had laid down as the initial tracks.
Okay. Karen?
Yeah, I agree. I love character development, and I feel like we're seeing the more complicated version of these characters. We're starting to see that, and it's becoming more three-dimensional. You mentioned that there's three main storylines. I enjoy the dichotomy between the three storylines. It's rich man, poor man deal. We see all sides of the dice, as it were. And I really think that we're beginning to see. Although I don't know where it's going, I feel like we're beginning to see a trajectory for at least this season, and I like that very much.
Yeah. I really thought this was a pretty good episode. I liked the kind of we're stuck in space storyline. I like the politics of the time on Earth. So that's cool. And I'm intrigued by life on the asteroid and the things going on with Joe Miller. Let's start on Earth. We get a little bit more thoughts about politics and how if you're going to torture someone, you have to do it a humane way or interrogate someone, I guess, not use Tor- torture. So, Karen, let's start with our UN secretary. I forgot what's her official title.
Deputy
Eh,
Undersecretary.
Yeah, Deputy Undersecretary.
Chris,
Yeah, Chrisjen, and the guy who Sean Dole's character, the Sadavar, who sounds like,
Undersecretary.
yeah, he's from like almost a different fraction. I can't tell who's the boss of who. Are they just peers? So let's start with that story, if you don't.
sure. I enjoy that it didn't go into a deep story for that, but it did give us pinpoint information about those characters. We know that Christian is from a rich district where she is a lock in the election, and he had to struggle to get where he is, and he doesn't know each time an election comes up whether he's going to get reelected or not. That tells us something about those two characters, that she's secure. She feels like she can do whatever she wants. And whereas he has to walk a tight rope sort of thing. And you can tell that his morals are much stronger than hers, although I think, and I talk about this all the time, they're the hero of their own story. I think she is trying to do this for the greater good, and she's blocking out anything else. And the fact that she sees Belters as 10th class citizens, I don't even think she sees them as second class or class citizens. They're nothing. They're servants. If they start to cause trouble, then she doesn't have any problem with torture, elimination, that sort of thing. I did that she seemed to be rattled by him when she put him in the tank, the prisoner. I don't know if you two thought the same thing, but I feel like she was a little rattled and that she felt like she had the upper hand more when he was just chained to the wall. So yeah, I found that really interesting that the kind of roles that they're being put in. And like I said, we learned more about their character without getting a big dump of information. So I enjoyed that. We didn't get much of it, but I do enjoy that storyline.
All right, Lou.
Yeah, Karen did an excellent job of summarizing that storyline. I think what's important to know that is, I think the first one of his first lines, the undersecretary to Chrisjen was like, "You, how does it feel to be two heartbeats away from the head of the UN?" And he's maybe a heartbeat below her. So he's obviously ambitious, and he's looking for opportunities to move past her and become the chairman, is the vibe I get from him. It's often said that politics makes for strange bedfellows. I don't know how aligned they are in their views, but he obviously is not going to her on anything beyond just saying, "Hey, you're using banned torture techniques," and just letting her know that he's watching her, sort of thing. I think there's an insert that's definitely an interesting dynamic between those two characters, and something to watch for in the future. As for the Belter, Karen picked up on it quite nicely. I think what shook him was his discussion about his belief system, and I think it's tied to the photograph of the man that she has on her desk, that the soldier, which is spoiler, kind of spoiler, it's their son. I think
Mm,
what he's talking about rings a chord with her because of what happened to her son. So I guess I spoiled that. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
But
Spoilers are fine.
that will come into play further. And what the show is doing very subtly at this point is, it's even though we have these separate storylines, they're all tied together. Not they are tied together. She's dealing with the bigger picture item of the balance of power, especially between Earth and Mars. And there's a comment about the Belter was trying to smuggle stealth technology, which interestingly enough was what we saw being used in the first episode when the Canterbury was blown up. So there's ties between these storylines, and the we'll see those play out for as we go further along.
So that's
Yeah,
why she was uncomfortable when she was talking to him? Is that
I
why she
believe
was
so.
giddy and
Yeah,
okay,
I think he struck an
thanks.
emotional chord with her.
Okay,
I
cool.
I also think that to me, he isn't fragile enough. He isn't shook up enough. And I think that is bothering her as well. I get the feeling that OPA is similar to the IRA,
Mm,
right? That
yeah,
they
I
are a
assume
group
so.
writing, wanting for belters to be able to have to be able to control their own destiny. So yeah, I think that was a really cool. I've said that I love that actress.
Me too.
Yeah.
I just think she's really sharp, and we so far into this, I haven't decided who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in this. I think
Yeah.
they're wanting us to think Earth is not the kind is in terms of they're England and the
Mm.
Belters are colony.
America?
Yeah,
Mm,
but we don't know yet.
yeah.
So we'll see.
Just for posterity, OPA stands for Outer Planets Alliance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My husband told me that when we were
Yeah.
watching. So,
And do you agree it's similar to the IRA?
mm, I
Yes,
do.
Okay.
yes,
Good. Okay. All right.
I
All
do.
right.
Not the quote unquote new IRA,
Yeah.
which were
Yeah.
a violent
Yeah.
subset of that, but the
Mhm.
original IRA that they were fighting to mostly over religion, from what I can tell, Presbyterian versus Catholic kind of thing, and being able to make their own way to become their own entity. I do think that's a direct correlation to that,
yeah,
whether it's meant to be or not. I just,
yeah.
And
And I do agree with you, Jesse, that she was also shook by his the Belter's belief system that he
Yeah.
was willing to die for his cause,
Yeah.
which she finds
She's not
very
going to be able to
dangerous.
break him.
Yeah.
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 I I am also get the feeling that the OPA may be violent down the road.
Mm,
That there will be a fringe of them that I used to always, when I'd be watching X-Men or reading X-Men, right? Professor X and Magneto, Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, right? This simplified version of any means necessary or peaceful protest. So I'm picturing that as we get into OPA politics, that we will see that debate of how far do we want to push this. So that'll be interesting. Anything else about the Earth subplot? Like I said, it was just there. I think it's building up to something bigger and connecting it, but anything else we need to talk about there?
Well,
Okay. All right,
mm.
so let's go to
Oh,
yes.
I do want to mention that that prisoner killed themselves, right?
yes.
Yes.
When he was in captivity on the way to, where was he going,
Yeah.
to the moon?
Yeah, they were going to
Yeah,
send him to Luna for further interrogation.
right,
And he talked a lot about this is going to be another subplot I think they'll explore is the idea because you were born in space, your bones are fragile, you can't live in Earth anymore.
right,
It is a totally you have become basically a new species.
right.
Even though you're human, you are not, and you cannot. He talked about, I can't go back to my Mother Earth, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I just
Um,
wanted to mention that
no,
we
I'm
won't
glad you
see
did.
him again,
Yeah.
but I feel like she's left at odds at that
Mhm.
point because she never broke him. And
Yes.
so he is a failure
Hmm.
for her. So anyway, sorry.
All right. So I have a little bit of problem with Joe Miller. Is first off, you know there's a water shortage. Do barrack showers. As my
Hmm.
dad said, you turn on the water, you wet yourself, you turn off the water. You
Right.
soap yourself, everything, then you turn it back on to rinse. I don't do that currently now because there's not a water shortage, but I remember when I would be at Boy Scout camps or other stuff, they would say to make sure the hot water lasts, do that. So I'm watching
Women call
this.
it tits, pits, and bits.
I like that.
That's what we call it.
So I did love him. Like, really? There's no other water? And the other point I had to make is when he saw that the Julie had a full water tank. I'm surprised he wasn't carrying some kind of water bottle or something and filling
Yeah,
it up. Or, hey, dude, let me go get go get me an empty gallon milk jug and let me fill up some of this water. Though he did
sure.
use it to rinse his hair, which I thought
So
was nice. So,
would he have been caught if he was carrying around some water? And that might have been why. That would have been a great idea. Yeah, look,
mhm.
she's not going to use it.
Yeah,
I might as well
exactly.
take it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we have a very interesting storyline with Dimitri and them. The rich, powerful are complaining about their garden that I assume like the mayor or whatever is the head of the ruling class of this station get to see this beautiful park and part of it's dry. And so that means people are stealing water. I know a few years ago, probably longer than that, one of the lesser offenses of Lance Armstrong was in the middle of a drought here in Texas. He had this elaborate landscape that was being watered. And so that's always controversial is watering your lawn while there's a drought going on.
Mhm.
So, Lou, I'm going to start with you this time. Thoughts on any of that storyline?
Yeah, it's a whodunit or a missing persons storyline as Joe Miller keeps trying to find out more about Julie Mao. We find out through her logs that she has a strained relationship with her parents and that she's I don't know if you want to call her the black sheep of the family, but she's a rebel at the very least. And she has a racing yacht spaceship that he's trying to track down and so far has not been able to find. He also confirms that she was on the Scopuli, which we know she was from the first episode. As to why she would go on that, we don't know yet, but that ties his investigation in with the other storyline as well. The water thing was funny. I thought the same thing as you, Jesse. Why, where you live, obviously water seems to be more of a concern than like where I live, water, but we don't even think about
Yes.
it. It's just, it's always there. So we've never had to ration it or anything like that. But I've seen storylines, especially like Dune is the ultimate water
Yeah.
conservation storyline. It makes sense that it's a very precious commodity and it's enough of a commodity that it's worth stealing and reselling. This gives you a makeup of the society as well. At the same time, like you mentioned, the rich people want their nice garden big and under the pretext that it recirculates oxygen, takes carbon dioxide out of the air, which is true, but
Yeah.
there's probably better plants to do that with than grass,
Yeah.
ferns, etc., whatever. So you're getting more of a feel for even within the Belters, there's a social structure as well. We already got that from the first episode with his partner, the future Thomas Magnum, who ends
Hmm.
up with a
Mhm.
cactus in that episode and trades it in for favors, as we shall say.
Yeah.
So that was good. And we also see that Miller is not as much of a hard ass as he likes to project because he lets the gangsters, the local Belcher gangsters go, and he basically gives them a blueprint for how to proceed in the future. If you're going to steal water, this is the way you should do it, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
whether or not they're smart enough to clue into that, we'll have to see. The other thing that I think we're coming to be shown is that Miller has a growing respect for Julie Mao.
Yeah.
He's through her logs and the scar that she didn't get fixed. He's come to realize that he admires her moxie and that she's a straight shooter. So out of the three, it's probably my least interesting storyline, except for the character building of Joe Miller. I think I'll just leave it at that.
Karen?
Yeah, I gotta admit, I do appreciate this storyline. I noted the same thing as you, Lou, that, the guy was on his high horse. We're doing this for the good of everyone with the carbon dioxide and the photosynthesis but it's not true. Not that park is in the affluent section of the station, and it would be much more efficient to have like little parks throughout. But they're definitely using that as an excuse to have a beautiful habitat where they don't really care about everyone else. And I love that he gives the cactus over because the cactus is useless when it comes to that sort of thing. It's a cactus. It doesn't use much water. It doesn't do much for the atmosphere. They can live in very harsh climates. So he's saying, here's something you can use down in the Belter area. Go away. Essentially, it's definitely an FU to him because
Yes.
he did bring up not everyone gets this view, and he's okay, fine, here's your view.
Yeah. Now you
Um,
can start your new view.
which is the view of essentially a Belter, a
Yeah.
third class citizen or whatever. I'm assuming the Belters do have cacti if they want plants at all. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting way to show that by that one sentence, he's made himself an enemy, essentially, to
Hmm.
the ruling body. I guess he's like a representative of the ruling class kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I really do find that interesting that we saw the UN thing, and they are portraying themselves as we may have to make hard decisions, but we're here to make sure that the peace is kept and to make
Yeah.
laws and all that. Whereas this guy is, I'm here for myself and to make sure that the Belters stay where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we get to see that kind of position in two different ways.
Mm.
The quote unquote evil on
Yeah.
Ceres. I'm sorry. I'm still not memorized on these things. And then the more democratic version in the UN.
Yeah.
And I love when there's a contrast between two stories where you do see the different point of view because it really does outline, it informs your opinion of everything. I like to think for myself as well, but it really does give you that kind of nudge towards how you should feel about those characters. And I I really do love Thomas Jane in this role. I've been a fan of his forever, like I said last time, and I think he plays this role really well. He is definitely unconventional when it comes to what his role is, and
Mhm.
I think he's starting to warm to this partner a little bit because he saw that the partner was willing to go out on a limb because he did say that's a F you. I think that he is still gonna rib him, but I would like to see that turn into the buddy comedy, the buddy action movie comedy kind of thing, like a Rush Hour pairing. And I'm assuming there's gonna be way more depth in that storyline, but right now it's definitely he's taking tentative steps. I enjoyed seeing the technology that he has where he can change his voice and get access to all her files. I'm assuming that's not something that the regular person has. That would be like, I guess, a taser that not everyone has access to, but law
Yeah.
enforcement uses it. I love that he went through like her Tinder, essentially, right? And he
Yeah.
said she has a type. That was great. I thought he was looking at her crew, and then I realized, oh no, that's Tinder. It's her matches on Tinder. So yeah, I thought that whole storyline was fantastic. We're seeing much more depth in these characters. We're also seeing more backstory of Julie. Yeah, Julie. And I feel like without her being there in person, we're getting to know more about her. And I think that's good too. So I don't know if I covered everything there. I'm sorry for talking so long.
No, no, that was
Um,
very good.
but yeah,
I,
that's my thing.
yeah, I think this is an interesting in our Joe, the cop. I haven't figured him out yet. I
That's
can't,
Thomas Jane. You're talking
yeah,
about Thomas
Thomas
Jane.
Jane, yeah, Joe Miller. The idea, like he lets the people go and tell them, hey, you got to do what you got to do, but stay away from water,
Yep.
right? This is, you can't do this.
You know what I thought of with that?
What?
When my husband kills a bug, he leaves it there and he's let that be a warning. That's what he says. He says, I want all the other bugs to see what I've done here. I felt like that was what he was aiming for. Hey, I'm going to let you go, but make sure
Mhm,
people know that I'm not going to stand for this kind of thing. And
mhm.
wasting all that water killed me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I do think that is an interesting. I like the subplot, and they talk about that the ship that blew up in the first episode, them not bringing that iceberg has left things even tighter,
Yeah.
which it, I love the setup, but part of me thinks, can't you get ahead of that? Can't you get like some extra water? It's there, but I guess it's because we show how dangerous this is and how tough it is to people, and then how many people really want to go do this job because of it.
And I think that's the whole point is that they know they can't get ahead of it. So they're
Yeah,
gonna do whatever they can to destroy the stores of water.
yeah, really nice stuff. Anything else there we need to talk about?
Has Lou
No,
gone?
but it's good that you all mentioned the water issue because that is
Mm,
very important. The water supply issue.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it is because I think one of the one of the things that sets this different is, and we all know how much I love Star Trek and all of us love Star Trek, right? But part of it is that there's unlimited power most of the time, unlimited resources. There's never a lack of air. There's never a lack of water. The replicator gives you food. There is this kind of, and the reality is one of the reasons why I love The Martian, that book, And then the movie, right, is I only have X amount of calories. How am I going to make that last longer till someone can pick me up?
Yep.
So I like that subplot.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I saved what I think is the best storyline till the end. We have our raggedy tag heroes that certainly could be a little bit of Firefly crew. We
Mm.
have a Jane
Hmm.
character, we have a Zoe character. So I like them a lot. And the whole storyline of them, we're screwed. Don't have enough air, we don't have enough fuel, our radio's broken, no one knows where we are. What do we do? And the storyline I thought was pretty interesting. The discussion, the idea of who died and left you in charge, the captain. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter,
Yep.
that with that small of a group. Lou, let's start with you on this one.
There's a lot to dig into in this one. I think this is the most character-rich portion of the
Yes.
episode, and at the same time, it's also setting up more of the Martian Earth belter dynamics as well. I think what's interesting for most interesting for me is the power struggle between James Holden and Nagata or Naomi Nagata. She's just an engineer, but yet she seems to be a command figure, which is interesting. And also what's interesting is why Amos is so loyal to her. She's basically, he tells Holden right out. She says, if I should kill you, then I'll kill you. You
Like,
know, what's their bond? We still don't know what the bond is, but there's definitely a battle of wills going on here between Holden and Nagata. And Holden is he acts very, I don't want to say rationally, but I guess that's tied into, but he acts very emotionally at times or based on his emotions.
yes.
He's very passionate, which has its good and bad sides, as we've already seen, because if he hadn't sent that log, that distress signal, the Canterbury wouldn't have been destroyed, and they wouldn't be in the situation that they are in now. So that's definitely a dual-edged sword. Amos is just, he's like you said, he's the Jane character of the show, but he's very no nonsense. You gotta admire his directness. Cass, or the pilot, Alex, is obviously he's a very good pilot. So you always got to have a good pilot with your crew. And you have the doctor who is a little more relatable, I guess, because the way he reacts to the situation is the way I think most of us would react. It's kind of, what? But when push
Yeah,
comes to shove, yeah,
he is not the toughest guy, right? Like
right.
he's, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got that whole, yeah, there's quite an interesting power dynamic going on there. Definitely, you've got the two alphas with Naomi and Holden, and
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing how things go with him in the future. His Holden's initial desire to chase the ship is probably showing how his passion doesn't work well, but on the other hand, he's willing to think outside the box, and I think sending that distress or broadcast message or distress signal or whatever you want to call it, saying what happened is pretty bold. And obviously, he's cutting across political lines. Like the other crew members, even though they're in their dire situation, they're still kind of like going, dude, did you just really go there? He's just saying things out loud that people think about but don't say in public. So that's it. That's also an interesting dynamic. And then, of course, we've got the fact that a Martian ship picks up their distress signal, which, based on what we've learned so far about stealth technology being Martian in origin, raises questions about this ship, the Donager, that answered their distress signal and is coming to pick them up. Because space is pretty big, and the chances of another Martian ship being in the same vicinity is suspect, to say the least. We're going to find out whether or not the Donager actually was responsible for destroying the Canterbury. But yeah, it's a good setup, and it gives the episode a great cliffhanger ending as the shuttle is brought aboard the Donager, and they quickly weld through the door, and then they're all targeted with laser scopes. Yeah, I thought it was really well done. A lot of great character dynamic stuff going on in this portion of the episode.
Karen?
Yeah, I thought it was, you can see the irony in Holden's attitude where he didn't want to be in charge, and now all of a sudden he's fighting to be in charge. I feel like they really should leave it to Naomi, although she's a bit of a loose cannon as well. At the moment, they're a ragtag group of blue collar workers that are scrapping and fighting to survive kind of thing. I like the fact that they're not going super high tech. You can see with the night that it is incredibly pasted together with spit and wire and the fact that they have to go out and fix that antenna. I was like, that ship is barreling through space, and yet they're going to go out in it and be attached to the side, but still, it's very perilous. I think it was interesting that the two people that went outside are the most at odds with each other.
Yeah.
It would have been very easy for one of them to just push the other out into space, but they are working together. I think it's a grudging, it's
Mm.
not a respect, but a grudging alliance between them all on the ship, especially due to Holden is not willing to be on a team right now. And I hope that changes a little bit more. Right now, he
Yeah.
is trying to assert his dominance over the rest of them. I do think that a lot of the bristliness towards him is that they know he didn't want to be a leader. They know that he was, I don't know, not really invested in the
Mhm.
Canterbury. And I think that several of them know that.
Mhm.
And so they're saying, why do you want to be in charge? Just go away. Let Naomi be in charge. And I really like Alex. And we saw that he has a family back home that he's working for. I'm assuming those people got notified that the Canterbury was destroyed. So I'm guessing there's going to be a side story there, maybe down the
Yeah.
line of what happens when he is alive again. And I'm
Hmm.
putting air quotes on that. The storyline between Alex and Shed, that was great. Seeing he's shaken out of this panic attack in order to actually be a doctor and help Alex, and he sacrifices his own air for Alex to be able to breathe and ends up having to be resuscitated. I think that shows character, but also that he needs to be prodded to step up.
Yeah.
I like that actor that plays Shed, Paulo Costanzo. He was on a show called Royal Pains on the USA Network a
I
few
do
years
remember
ago.
that. Yeah.
He was the brother of the doctor in that case, and he was a hustly, kind of cocky dude that got himself in trouble quite a bit. And this is a very different character for him,
Mm.
but I think the actor is very gifted. So I can't wait to see more of the night crew. I agree. It's a very almost a one-on-one Firefly comparison with some of those
Yes.
characters. And they're slightly different, definitely, but we do have the prototypes there.
Hmm.
Prototypes,
Yeah.
character,
I
all the
do.
character types there. Yeah. Art, thank you, archetypes. Thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't think of the word,
No
but
worries.
I appreciate them. I'm really wondering what the deal is with Amos and Naomi. What is his? I don't think he blindly follows her, but I do think that there's some kind of affinity for her that maybe is, I don't know, is he in love with her? Did they have some sort of shared experience? So I can't wait to see that relationship and what happens there. But I do enjoy that story. I think that's my favorite storyline right now. because it is completely different characters. It's relatable characters, and there's someone to root for. You're rooting for those people to get rescued by the good guys and to make it out alive, to find another ship, whatever. So yeah, I'm heavily invested in that storyline, although I do enjoy Thomas Jane on the base there with the Belters. But I think that storyline hasn't been developed enough yet. And we have a real meaty storyline on the Knight.
Yeah, I agree that the Knight so far is my favorite storyline. I like the kind of bickering because they
Mm.
throw in together. This wasn't like they were best mates that going together. They just ended up being on this ship and now then they're stuck. And I'm also reminded of one of my favorite comments. I had a manager once years ago that said, if mine's the only plan on the table, it's the best plan. And that's been used in a lot of on Game of Thrones. Jon Snow says, I agree. It's a horrible plan. I get
Hmm.
this is a tail event. What's your plan?
And that
Yeah,
person says, I don't have one.
yeah,
So,
okay,
Yeah,
then there we go.
it's a
yep,
trope.
Yeah,
yep.
but it is,
It's a
but
good trope,
there's,
though.
yeah, because I see that in real life all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a horrible idea, Jesse. Okay, what's your idea? I don't have one. If my idea is the only idea on the table, and I had a boss who said, and I use this now, my best worst idea is this. And he's acknowledging it's a bad idea, but it's the
Yeah.
best bad idea I have. And if
Yeah.
someone else has another one, I'm open to it.
Then I'm
Uh,
in. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I do that the Knight passes the Bechdel test.
Yes.
She doesn't
Uh,
talk about any man at all. She
yeah.
doesn't give a crap. So I like that very much.
Yeah.
And also, I've been managers. I'm a manager right now, and I was a help desk manager in the past. So I love seeing a woman take charge. It's
Mm.
a personal thing from my perspective. So yeah, I definitely identify with them the most. I've never really been in the upper class or anything like that, but middle management. And so I feel like that's where they are. They were when they were on the
Hmm.
Canterbury, the middle management part of the ship, and now they're
Yeah.
trying to struggle to find their way in a new kind of situation, and I find that
Yeah.
very interesting.
And so you've jumped from the fire pan into the fire, or maybe the
Yep.
fire into the frying pan, but at least
Yeah.
you're alive to fight another day.
And I
And
like that
so,
things just keep getting thrown at them, the asteroid field, the getting picked up by
yeah.
the Martian ship.
Hmm.
I love that they're having to fight, and
Yeah.
claw their way back into some sort
Hmm.
of semblance of normalcy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to, I assume they're going to bond
Mm.
over the course of this series. And I always like that. Any other thoughts on the episode before we wrap up?
I
Yeah,
do have a couple. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lou.
I just want to highlight that we've seen so far that Holden is the idealist and Naomi is the pragmatist. So that's
Hmm.
something to carry forward. And I just want to comment on the special effects. It's a trademark of the series, and I think the flight of the night shuttle trying to avoid all the debris, I thought that was really well done.
Okay.
Agreed.
Karen?
Yeah, and I love the arm coming out to pick
Yeah.
up the ship.
Yeah.
It's not a tractor beam or anything like that. I love that kind of almost steampunky feel there. I do have a couple of little trivia things that I found.
Please.
This was a two-night event, the series premiere, 2 hours over 2 days. So I feel like they weren't trying to draw things out. They gave you information in those first two nights. And I think that was definitely a good hook. And why I think people love this series is the powers that be, TPB. They knew their audience. And I think it was, even though sci-fi did not treat them very well, I think that's why they survived. And another thing, when that spacewalk was filmed, the character that played Amos, Wes Chatham, his wife went into labor that day. It was a kind of a chaotic filming day for them that they were trying to get it done so that he could go and be with her in the hospital. I thought that was cool. It was it was a scene that I think, if I read it correctly, it's a scene that he was reading when he went to audition to play to play Amos. And I think that scene is what got him the job from what I read. So I think that's really cool. That's, I'm assuming, a very memorable day for him. And the lines of dialogue are probably something he has remembered because of that. And that the fact that when it first aired, they didn't put in credits for the stunt performers. And so when Amazon took the show over, they added all those credits
Oh,
Oh,
to the
really?
show. So
Wow.
I want to give them props for that. And it's on the DVD as well. Okay, so that's my trivia.
Awesome.
yeah, one of the things I wanted to talk about is we just finished, spending 5 years with Babylon 5, and I love that series. Continue to be a fan of J. Michael Straczynski and looking forward. He's now living in London full time, and I'm looking forward to what he's going to do in the future. But the special effects were dated because of the CGI of what it was when the episodes were filmed. This was more about the characters. I was watching these scenes in space and them moving and I assume a lot of this are practical models, but it's really well done. I enjoy watching these special effects. It feels real, and that's
Gritty.
cool. Yeah,
It's
gritty.
gritty.
Gritty's a
Yeah,
perfect
Yes.
word for it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, and I'm glad for that. I'm
And
glad about that a lot.
I do want to say, you just mentioned Babylon 5. I think they did a lot with what they had. I think a
Yes.
lot of those special effects hold up, and
Yeah.
especially for when it came out. So
Yeah.
I think that's a running theme with the shows that we've talked about with Farscape, with Babylon 5, and now with The Expanse. They do a lot with what they have,
Yeah.
and it shows. They
Yeah,
care.
absolutely. All right. Lou, did we get any feedback on our YouTube channel?
I'd have to check. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I never thought to do that.
We are hoping to get a few more listeners, followers. I know there is a huge following of The Expanse, and hopefully that people are going to want to join us as we do a new watch for most of us.
No comments.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Emails?
No emails that I'm aware of. No.
Yeah.
But it's
I-
early days. We
Yes, it
shall
Yeah,
see.
is.
But you should be happy to know that Nathan commented on our Death of the Unicorn episode, so you could take
that's
a look at
cool.
that if you like.
Yes. Oh, cool. That
Yeah.
is very nice. All
All right.
right.
All right.
Oh, I was so excited for this movie and forgot about it since it was never mentioned anywhere. Now I know why it's sad.
All
I agree, Nathan.
right. All right. So, Lou, what's going on with you and how can people reach you?
You can find me at Twitter and X at Lou W. Sitzma. On YouTube, you can find me at Lou's Reviews, where I have my writer interviews and Stephen King podcast, as well as our archived episodes of Babylon 5, including the animated movie. And of course, you can find us on our other YouTube channel, JKL Media Reviews, where we're reviewing books, movies, comics, and currently we're doing The Expanse, which you've just listened to, and hopefully you'll join us for future episodes.
All right, Karen.
Yep, you can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. I do also want to mention that we're not foregoing the one-off episodes of JKL Media, so keep your eye on our channel if you're interested in those. We'll have Springsteen stuff, Stephen King stuff down the road, and whatever strikes my fancy, because apparently I don't have a thing, quote unquote. But you can find me at Aliveria on social media sites, and my blog is alistuff.com.
Speaking of Bruce Springsteen, I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter and X and Blue Sky. Jesse Jackson on Facebook. Next Stop Everywhere, where I'm talking Doctor Who, and Set Lusting Bruce, where I just recently had a roundtable of 8 other Springsteen fans join me talking about Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere, the new Springsteen film. We had a great time discussing it, speculating on why it has not done as well on the box office as we would have liked, but we enjoyed it and we all talked about how much we loved it. So please check that out. Go to someone and let them know, if you're listening to this, let them know that we are going into The Expanse. If you've never watched the show, this is a good chance to watch it. It is considered one of the best science fiction modern shows in times. Boy, that was awkward. The Expanse is considered one of the best current recent science fiction shows. So join the journey with us, and we would really appreciate any support. Lou, thank you for everything. Karen,
Mhm.
thank you for everything.
Mhm.
Everyone, be safe, be kind, and enjoy a glass of water. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And see.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.